Watch the entire video, and at the end, you may want to research the most evil number. This video is for those seeking wisdom. What are the spiritual aspects of stealing? Stealing has spiritual dimensions that often go beyond the legal or moral consequences and delve into the impact on one's soul, character, and relationship with the divine. Here are some spiritual aspects of stealing. Violation of trust and harm to others. Spiritual law of karma, actions create consequences for the individual. Stealing creates negative karma. It is an act of harm and violation of another's property, trust, or rights. Energy imbalance. Some spiritual teachings hold that taking what is not yours disrupts the natural flow of energy and abundance, leading to imbalances for the person being stolen from, and for the thief. Separation from the divine. Stealing is considered a sin, one of the violations of the 10 Commandments, "Thou shalt not steal." It creates a separation between the individual and God because it goes against divine laws of love and respect for others. Stealing is viewed as an act that damages the purity of one's soul, leading to spiritual consequences in this life and the afterlife. Stealing reflects a lack of faith in divine provisions. It causes a separation in the relationship with the source. Don't steal. Stealing takes off the guard God put on your soul. Inner disharmony and guilt. Conscience and inner conflict. Many spiritual traditions highlight that stealing leads to inner turmoil. A person may feel guilt, shame, or a sense of unease because their action is misaligned with their inner moral compass. Over time, this inner conflict can lead to spiritual distress or a hardened heart if not addressed. This disobedience to God's laws brings guilt and shame, making the person and her home vulnerable to spiritual attacks. Stealing generates negative mental states, e.g. greed, desire, and increases suffering for oneself and others, disrupting the journey toward enlightenment. Impact on spiritual growth and character. Erosion of integrity. Spiritually, stealing can erode one's integrity, making it harder to live authentically. When a person steals, they often build a false identity or persona to justify or cover their actions, distancing themselves from their true self. Temptation and attachment. In many spiritual traditions, stealing is seen as a result of attachment to material things. It reflects greed or a desire for things that one does not need. Overcoming this attachment is essential for spiritual growth, as material desire can be a hindrance to reaching higher spiritual states. Community and spiritual impact. Social harmony. Stealing disrupts the spiritual harmony of communities. Theft is seen as damaging to societal relationships, eroding trust, and fostering an environment of fear and suspicion. Collective karma or sin. In some indigenous spiritual practices and communal cultures, the negative energy or harm caused by stealing affects not just the individual, but also the community as a whole. It disrupts collective peace and balance. Reparation and forgiveness. Repentance and atonement. Spiritual repentance and atonement for the act of stealing could involve returning what was stolen, seeking forgiveness from those harmed, and committing to not repeat the act. Spiritual growth often comes through facing and correcting one's wrongs. Restorative karma or grace. In some spiritual frameworks, restoration can involve practicing generosity or giving back to balance out the negative impact of theft, promoting a return to spiritual equilibrium. Theft is a symptom of deeper spiritual issues. Lack of faith or fear of scarcity. Stealing may arise from a deep-seated fear of lack. Spiritually, this can indicate a lack of trust in the universe or a higher power to provide. It signals that the individual is spiritually disconnected from abundance and gratitude. In essence, stealing has spiritual consequences that touch upon one's relationship with oneself, others, and the divine. The act of stealing is not just about material loss, but also the spiritual degradation it may cause to the soul, relationships, and the community. Healing from it often requires spiritual reflection, restitution, and realignment with values of respect, trust, and harmony. Research the most evil number, Belphegor's prime. You may begin to understand why being trillions of dollars in debt opened a portal to one of the princes of hell. The 10 is the Hebrew Yod. While rediscovering truths, we must obey the truth that resonates within us. If we cannot follow the 10 commandments from the Most High, why make more laws? Is man wiser than the source? The 10 Commandments. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make idols. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor's. Gamble, takes risky action in the hope of a desired result. Playing games of chance for money, bet, gambling also opens the doors to debt and the princes of hell. Prime numbers. 123. Prime numbers are natural numbers greater than 1 that have exactly 2 factors, 1 and the number itself. This means that a prime number cannot be divided evenly by any other number except for 1 and itself. For example, the numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13 are prime numbers. Properties of prime numbers. Uniqueness. Every prime number is unique in that it has no divisors other than 1 and itself. Even prime, the number 2 is the only even prime number. All other prime numbers are odd. Unjust enrichment, or unfair gain, refers to the situation where one party receives a benefit at the expense of another party, without any legal justification or contractual obligation, making it unfair for the benefiting party to retain that benefit. Joshua 7. Achan stole some gold and silver from Jericho, which was devoted to destruction by God. God judged Achan and his family severely because his sin affected the whole nation of Israel and dishonored God's holiness. Joshua 7 verse 26, and they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger. Wherefore the name of that place was called, the Valley of Achan, unto this day. Prayers are heard in the silence of night. God answers the prayer of the aggrieved so that the petition to God renders man's justice null and void. Those who uphold stealing are just as bad as the thief. Can you recognize how trillions of dollars in debt can lead to devastating consequences for individuals? In a debt-based economy, where money is essentially viewed as debt, poverty becomes prevalent. The source is working to dismantle this debt-driven system and reintroduce gold and silver as the true currency on earth. Prepare for the financial reset, and obey God's commandments. The debt issues facing Earth are deeply rooted in the system itself. To rescue this system, additional debt is generated through currency printing. As a result of deficit spending, the population faces increased taxation. 1 John 5 verse 3, For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous.
Strength is born in the softest